Hey there everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Boobo-Rama, and in today's video, I'll be showcasing all of the armored Imani Tech vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. A lot of you guys wanted to see this video. My top liked comment on yesterday's video breaking into all of the HSW vehicles said I can't find a comprehensive list of all Imani Tech vehicles. Now I have posted many Imani Tech videos in the past, and some of them do break into all the vehicles, but I don't think I've done one where I do a little bit more in-depth talking about each one's price tag, their top speed, and overall lap time. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. This should be the last guide you ever need for any Imani Tech vehicle. And yeah, that's as simple as it is. Now, when it comes to my opinion on these Imani Tech cars, I should mention that we're only focusing on the armored vehicles in today's video. These are vehicles that can survive explosions due to the armor plating on them. We're not going to be talking about the 60 plus vehicles which now feature missile lock-on jammers. There's just too many to break into if we were trying to do that category. Maybe for a separate video, but I don't know if I want to line up 60 cars. With that being said, let's get straight into it, starting off with the slowest and making our way to the fastest. This here is the Patriot Mil-Spec. I know Harm None loves this vehicle. I think it's alright. It's honestly a little disappointing for me due to the fact it's not very good at off-roading. The reason is because we can see that it's got these little side steps and it's not very high off the ground. Off-road vehicles need a lot of ground clearance so they don't bottom out, but this vehicle, you can't take off those side steps there, and you can't make it any higher off the ground. Because of that, trying to off-road in this vehicle is actually rather unenjoyable, and it's a little disappointing in that category because Hummers are known for their off-roading capabilities. Customization-wise, it's epic. It's got a lot of customization. It has semi-bulletproof glass, meaning that it will take upwards of 20 plus rifle rounds to cut through it unless you're using armor-piercing rounds. And the vehicle can survive upwards of 10 homing missiles before being blown up. I should mention right now that every single vehicle apart from one can survive 10 homing missiles before being blown up, and they also all feature missile lock-on jammers. So I'm just going to get that out of the way now so we don't have to talk about it in the future. Bulletproof glass is something that not all the vehicles have, so I will make sure to mention which ones do and which ones don't. So let's actually take a look at the performance that the Mil-Spec has, and yeah, it's pretty slow. It goes 96 miles per hour, making it one of the slowest off-road vehicles in the game at 44th out of the 54 in the off-road category, and its lap time, ooh, 1 minute 16 seconds. That's a whopping 16 seconds slower than your average sports car, and yeah, it's not a very good vehicle in the performance category. It's also fairly expensive at $1.7 million to purchase. If you add that with the Imani Tech upgrades, you're going to be looking at around $2.3 to $2.4 million to get your hands on this vehicle fully upgraded. To be fair, it is still a very fun, truck. I like the customization and the overall design going for it. I just think that there are better options, at least in my personal opinion. Next up, we arrive to the Granger 3600LX. I really like the look of the Granger. I'm not the biggest fan of SUVs, but this one I actually am a big fan of. I think it looks really, really sick. I'm not sure if it's based off of a Cadillac or a Tahoe, but what I can say is it looks really, really nice. Once again, has a lot of customization, a decent chunk of liveries going for it, and it does go at least a little bit faster than the Mil-Spec. We can see here that it's able to reach top speed of 97.5. Oh yeah, look at that. 1.5 miles per hour faster. Yeah, it's not that much faster. Its lap time isn't much more impressive either. Honestly, the Mil-Spec or the Granger, they're almost identical in performance. It really depends on which of the two you like more. But what I can say is that this is a much more expensive vehicle, sitting at $2 million to purchase, and then obviously you got to put on all the armor plating and everything else, so yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit more expensive to get your hands on this vehicle. Once again, though, does feature that semi-bulletproof glass, which at least is pretty nice. We then move over to the Omnis EGT, which is one of the nicest cars in the Imani Tech category. This vehicle is electric, and a fun little fact about the electric Imani Tech vehicles is that they can survive 10 sticky bombs and 10 RPGs, where something like the Granger or the Patriot Mil-Spec can only survive 4 sticky bombs or RPGs. Now, to be fair, the chance of being hit by a sticky bomb is literally zero. Who's going to throw 4 sticky bombs on your car while you're driving it? It's it's pretty impractical. But it is an advantage for the electric vehicles, and I guess it will help in certain missions, but it's really not that big of a deal, especially because all these vehicles feature missile lock on jammer. But this is quite a nice vehicle. It's fairly fast, and it's a 4-seater, so you got a lot of capabilities there. It's all-wheel drive, and we can actually take a look at this vehicle's performance in the sports category. It's 63rd in lap time out of the 112 sports cars, so smack dab in the middle. And in terms of top speed, it's 111 miles per hour. Oof, 103rd out of the 112 sports cars. Yeah, it's one of the slowest sports cars into the game at only 111 miles an hour. It's nothing incredible in performance, but it is a very fun vehicle. It's also not ridiculously expensive at 1.8 million. It's not cheap, but I wouldn't say it's breaking the bank levels of expensive. I do really like the Omnis EGT. It's just, I think there's a lot better options nowadays that you can get your hands on, especially the Virtue, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. The main advantage of this vehicle is that it's a 4-seater, but this next vehicle is a 4-seater as well. It's a little bit faster, and honestly, I think it's a better option. This is the Deity, and I actually really like the Deity. It's one of the more underrated and unknown Imani Tech vehicles, but it's very good. As I said, it's a 4-seater, which means if you're ever doing missions or jobs, you don't need to worry. And it has semi-bulletproof glass, meaning that it's obviously going to be able to take a decent amount of firepower before you're taking damage yourself. It's one of the cheapest Imani Tech vehicles in the game, sitting at 1.8 million, but if you have the trade price, 1.4 million, so it's not too expensive. And performance-wise, it goes 115 miles per hour, ranking it 8th in the sedans class, and it has a decent lap time of 1 minute 9. So overall, it's a pretty solid sedan, it's decently fast, and it has a fun amount of customization going for it. Plus, I just like Bentleys. I think it looks really nice. I can't really say it's a remarkable Imani Tech vehicle, but if you're looking for a decent 4-door, it's not a bad option. This one here is another great 4-door, this one being the Jubilee. It's obviously a Rolls Royce, and it's actually a pretty fast SUV at that. We can see that the vehicle is able to achieve a top speed of 116 miles per hour, and it has about the same lap time as the Deity. So both vehicles are very similar in their performance. Now the Jubilee is actually, I think, the cheapest Imani Tech vehicle apart from the Greenwood. We'll have to see if there's any others that are cheaper, but because of that, this is a really, really good buy. It's 1.2 million with the trade price, 1.6 if you don't have the trade price, and once again, it does feature that semi-bulletproof glass. It's fairly fast, it's all-wheel drive. It's actually a really, really good pick if you're looking just to save as much money as possible, while still featuring the armor and the protection. But I don't really see much of a reason to buy the Jubilee when you can literally just take the one out of your agency that spawns up here for free, and it has the armor plating on it. So yeah, I don't know. You can even request it if you call it in through the agency assistant. So I really don't see much of a reason to actually use a personal Jubilee unless you really like the look of the vehicle. But hey, it does look pretty sweet, actually. I'm a big fan of it. Now we arrive to definitely one of the best Imani Tech vehicles in the game. This one being the Ocelot Virtue. First of all, I think we can all agree the Virtue is one of the sexiest looking cars in the game. It has so many good liveries. It's just an incredibly nice looking car. It's actually an electric vehicle, but that does make sense why it's so low down in the top speed category, only going 119. But lap time wise, it's 15th out of the 60 supercars at a 59-second lap. This is one of the fastest Imani Tech vehicles in lap time, so definitely a good choice to get your hands on. Not only that, but you can get it absolutely free. Like, yeah, it's a very expensive car. 2.9 million without the trade price, 2.2 million with the trade price, but you have to remember that by simply completing the first and last dose missions for Dax, you'll not only get your hands on a free acid lab, but you'll also get the Ocelot Virtue for free. And at that point, why wouldn't you want to get your hands on this? It does not feature semi-bulletproof glass, but it is an electric vehicle, meaning that it can survive 10 sticky bombs, which is obviously really, really nice and definitely something to keep in mind. Now we have to make our way down to the lower level so we can look at the fastest Imani Tech vehicles in the game. And some of these are really, really impressive. So what do we have next on the list? Well, that is going to be the Greenwood, which... where the heck is my Greenwood? There it is. I'll be honest, the Greenwood's probably one of my least favorite Imani Tech vehicles. It does not feature semi-bulletproof glass, and It doesn't look the best if you ask my personal opinion, but it does have the armor, so if you still want to not die, it's a pretty solid option. And as I mentioned before, it's one of the cheapest Imani Tech vehicles in the game, sitting at a price tag of $1,098,000. Even without the trade price, it's still only $1,460,000. So it's super cheap, and let's be honest, most people aren't going to be doing the ULP missions anymore, so you're looking at around 1.4 to buy it if you don't have the trade price already. It's an alright deal. Problem is, it's not that good in performance at 1 minute 7 seconds, and its top speed at 120 is okay, but it's definitely nothing crazy. I personally would not recommend to get the Greenwood unless you're really trying to pinch some pennies. Next up, we have one of my favorite off-road vehicles in the entirety of GTA Online, and that is the Canis Terminus. I love this vehicle. First of all, it's got a bunch of different liveries. It's super fun to customize. This one, I put some goofy livery on it, and it's because I have like 3 of these across my different accounts. I might even have more than one of these on this account, so I figured I'm going to make a different livery and a different style for it. And I think the vehicle is really, really fun. It is one of the fastest off-road vehicles in the game. If we actually take a look at its performance, it's the 7th fastest in lap time, and it's the 7th fastest in top speed. This thing has crazy good acceleration and way better handling than you would expect. I honestly do think that this is one of the best Imani Tech vehicles, especially if you're going for kind of an off-road style car. Go for this any day of the year over the Patriot Mil-Spec. That's what I will say, especially because this thing is just so much more fun to drive. It's not even that expensive at 1.8 million. I mean, it's not cheap, but I can't really say it's like a ridiculously expensive vehicle. Really, really fun. We have probably my favorite looking Imani Tech in the game. This is the Anis 300R. It's based off of the Nissan Z in real life, and no joke, I was actually thinking of getting one of these cars. I mean, they're just so incredibly sexy looking. I absolutely adore the design of the Nissan Z. Unfortunately, it's just not that fast of a vehicle. I really wish that Rockstar had given this car an HSW upgrade, because then it would have actually been so fun to drive, but unfortunately, because it doesn't have an HSW upgrade, it's a little mediocre in its performance. We can see it reaches a top speed of 120 miles per hour, and its lap time is 103. To be fair, it's a lot faster than the other lap times we've been talking about, unless you're comparing to the Virtue, but it's pretty mediocre, middle of the road when it comes to the sports category, and it's also fairly expensive at $2,100,000. It's one of the more expensive Imani Tech vehicles. So it's got some good strengths going for it, but I just think there's better options, and I can't really recommend to buy it. We do have a supercar, the only other supercar, if I'm not mistaken, and that is the Champion. I don't know why I was looking over there. We got my big old bright pink crew color Champion. I don't know why I made it this color. I think I just wanted to have a little bit of fun and get an absolutely goofy color scheme here. I think the Champion is one of the nicest looking supercars. Honestly, like, some of these vehicles look great, and this one does look fantastic. Unfortunately, it's just not that impressive. I mean, it goes 125, which is decent, but it's only middle of the road for the Supers class, so we can see 31st out of the 60, so it's still pretty in top speed. And lap time is not that great either, as we can see. And when you're looking at the price tag of $3.7 million without the trade price, and $2.8 with, there's just no reason to buy the Champion. There really is no reason, especially because the next vehicle we will be talking about is the Buffalo STX, which is literally better in every single way. Not only does the STX have a 4-seater capability, which means if you're playing with friends, you can get them all into the vehicle, but the STX also is faster. It goes 126, and it has a better lap time. It's actually just one of the best Imani Tech vehicles all around in the game. And the funniest part is it's way cheaper at $1.6 million with the trade price and $2.1 million without the trade price. Like, I don't even get it. I don't even get it. Why would you ever buy a Champion when you can get your hands on this vehicle? It would make more sense if this was the expensive one and the Champion was the cheaper one, but hey, I'm not going to question Rockstar. It's an incredibly fun vehicle. It has great customization, and it does have that semi-bulletproof glass, so it is definitely one of the best Imani Tech vehicles. We now arrive to one of my favorite looking Imani Tech cars in the game. This is the Omnis Paragon S. I mean, look at this thing. You gotta agree, it looks incredible. Once again, I really, really wish that Rockstar gave this thing an HSW upgrade because it looks so incredible. Definitely one of my favorite looking sports cars in the game. I love it. And it is a very, very good performer. Even though it doesn't have HSW, it still reaches a top speed of 127.5 miles per hour. It has the 8th best lap time in the sports category. And yeah, it's a fast vehicle. There's no complaining when it comes to this car's performance. It's not even that expensive. It's $2 million. I mean, that's not too bad for a new sports car that's been released. So yeah, really no complaints when it comes to this. I would highly recommend to consider picking up the Paragon S if you like that type of vehicle. Now we arrive to the 3 final cars, all featuring HSW. We have the MonstroCiti, the EVX, and as well the Itali Stinger TT. We will start off with the MonstroCiti. Now, the MonstroCiti is an interesting Imani Tech vehicle. It features semi-bulletproof glass, but it does not feature an armor upgrade. Basically, when you buy the car, you just put on the armor upgrade and boom, you have the ability to survive 3 homing missiles. It also has a missile lock on jammer, so it's kind of like a diet Imani Tech vehicle. I still count it because it can survive multiple explosions, and I think that paired with the missile lock on jammer is enough, but definitely not nearly as durable as any of the other Imani Tech vehicles in the game. Still, a very, very fun car. It's one of the best off-road vehicles in the game. It has a top speed of 135.75, so we're going way up in speed here, almost a 10 mile per hour increase. It also has a lap time that is first in the off-road category. So if you're looking for a crazy good off-roader, I'd either get the Terminus or I'd go for this. I'd still probably say the Terminus is slightly better because it's a little more fun, it's a little bit better on the ground clearance, and it does feature armor plating versus just 3 homing missiles. But you can let me know which of the 2 you like more in the comments down below. In second place, we have the Buffalo EVX. I love the look of the Buffalo EVX. This is now the second one I own on this account, and it's because I absolutely adore the liveries and the overall style that this vehicle has. It's an electric vehicle as well, which means that it can survive 10 sticky bombs, which is absolutely incredible, although it does not feature any bulletproof glass. We can take a look at the performance here, 144.75 miles per hour, making this an incredibly fast vehicle, 3rd in the muscles category, and its lap time at 1 minute 2 is also incredibly impressive. It's even more impressive when you realize that the MonstroCiti has a better lap time. Things got crazy good handling, but still, this is a really, really impressive muscle car and definitely one that you should consider getting your hands on. It's not cheap though. It's definitely not cheap. It's going to cost you $2.1 million for the base price, another $1.4 million if you want the HSW upgrade, and then you're also going to have to add on the Imani Tech upgrades. Yeah, you're looking at around $4.5 million. But that is not as expensive as the final vehicle we'll be talking about, the Itali GTO Stinger TT, which is one of my favorite vehicles in the game, at least in terms of performance. It's all right in terms of its looks. I think it looks pretty cool. I own 2 of these on this account now, and for good reason. It's just such an impressive vehicle. First of all, previous car, 145 miles per hour. This one, 168. That's crazy. And it has a faster lap time. It in fact has the fastest lap time out of all the vehicles, right up there next to the Virtue at, well, 59.292. So it's fast and it's got crazy good lap time. I should also mention that the vehicle is ridiculously expensive. 2.4 to buy, 1.8 to then get the upgrade for the HSW. So that's already $3.8 million. And then you got to do the Imani Tech upgrades. Yeah, this is the most expensive, like, Imani Tech HSW, combination in the game. It's understandable because obviously it is a really, really fun vehicle, and it's one that I can tell you that you'll probably like a lot, but, well, it really depends on what you as a player want. So, I was about to end off today's video, ship it to YouTube, and call it a day. However, my thinker-thonker started working, and I realized I'm actually missing an Imani Tech vehicle. I got my information from today's video when it comes to all of the Imani Tech cars from a bunch of different various websites, and I even asked ChatGPT to list me all of the Imani Tech vehicles. And they did. But there's a bit of a caveat. What a lot of these websites, and even ChatGPT forgot to remember, is that a couple weeks ago, Rockstar added 50 vehicles with missile lock-on jammer capabilities. A few of those cars are armored, like the Gallivanter Baller, which I don't really consider that Imani Tech because it's nothing too special. But there's one vehicle which checks all the boxes, and I had to throw it in today's video. And that is the Duke O' Death. The Duke O' Death is already an incredible vehicle. Even without any Imani Tech upgrades, it can survive 6 homing missiles. And that means you're very rarely going to get taken out. But in the latest update, Agents of Sabotage, if we actually take a look, we can see there's an Imani Tech tab, and you can put a missile lock-on jammer, which, as it says, protects your vehicle from homing missile lock-on. So in other words, you not only have the ability to survive 6 homing missiles, but you also have a missile lock-on jammer, meaning that you're really never gonna die. The Duke of Death is fairly fast, actually, going at around 115 miles per hour. It has really, really good grip, and most importantly, it's super heavy. This is actually, I would say, the best Imani Tech vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. It features one major thing that a lot of the other Imani Tech vehicles don't, and that is the protection against bullets. We can see here that all of this armor paneling actually counts as armor. And if you have a passenger, yeah, they're literally never ever gonna die. Not only that, but the scoop as well counts as armor, and the entire back, due to the louvers, is completely bulletproof. What that means is that the Duke of Death is incredibly well armored, and it's actually one of the only Imani Tech vehicles in the game which has some level of bullet resistance apart from glass, which breaks after 20 rounds. This makes it an incredibly useful mission vehicle. When you pair that with the fact that it's also incredibly heavy, meaning that you can even push SUVs out of the way with pretty relative ease, yeah, the Duke of Death is insane. I should also mention it's free. Any single player right now at the time of watching today's video can go to Warstock, sort by price, and you will see the Duke of Death right here. So all you have to spend is 400,000 on the missile upgrade, and boom, you've got your hands on an incredibly dangerous vehicle. I knew that I had to add this into the video the moment I realized, so as always, hopefully enjoy this content. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. What is your favorite Imani Tech vehicle? Did I miss any that you wanted me to add to the list? As I said, the main goal for today's video is to showcase all of the armored Imani Tech cars. I will have a video up later this week where I will break into all 50 plus vehicles which have a missile lock-on jammer. So if you want to keep up to date, make sure you click that subscribe button. But apart from that, hopefully enjoy the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.